It's time for another episode of 10 Weather Chat, and we have moved into the month of April.
Here we go. No fooling. Yep. Moving right into April. Spring has sprung, Cassie. It's been warm. What we were doing in March, we've continued in April, haven't we?
Yes.
Unseasonably warm.
Unseasonably warm. And I think it's because we came out of March being so warm.
Yeah.
People may not realize that we're running 15 to 20 degrees above average every day right
Not
now.
just a little bit, a lot.
A lot. And it feels almost early summery.
Yes.
Because of not just the warmth, but it's the humidity. You were talking about that when you came in today.
Tell you what, was outside before I even started doing weed eating, and I'm sweating. Am I sure? You know, it's just that warmth, that humidity. Need the rain. Nothing's changed there. And so we'll hopefully get some much needed rain as we go down the road.
And what's interesting about saying, oh my gosh, it's kind of muggy outside right now.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
If this was July, we'd be like, oh, feel that fresh air. But because it's April, it does feel a little bit muggy outside with those dew points right now in the upper 50s.
Yeah, I was about to say, dew points in the upper, if that was July, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
We would be very, very happy about that. So now that we've moved into April, let's take a look back at the month of March.
Yeah.
Because
I see a lot of red.
Yeah, March is one to talk about. It's going down in the record books.
Yeah.
So you can see the graphic here of all the red. That's our high temperatures. And obviously red days mean above average.
Right.
So we only had 3 days with below average high temperatures last month.
Wow.
We had 3 days tying or breaking records at the beginning of the month.
Right.
And we had 5 days with highs in the 80s, which is tied for I shouldn't say tied. It is the fifth most number of days with highs in the 80s in the month of March.
In the 80s, month of March. That is incredible. Look at that. I mean, that tells the story right there of how warm March
consistently.
was. Yeah.
Just consistently warm, which is part of the reason why the redbuds bloomed a little early, the dogwoods bloomed a bit early, 1 to 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm even seeing wisteria
out,
and that does not normally happen until later into the month of April.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, as you just said, exactly, Cass, 1 to 2 weeks earlier, ahead of schedule.
Because our temperatures are running 1 to 2 weeks, no, not even, 1 to 2 months above average.
1 to 2 months, yeah.
So being consistently above average through the month of March, it did actually tie us for the third warmest March on record.
Ah, there it is.
With 1921.
Right.
And it's the warmest we've had since 2012. But 2012,
whoa,
yeah,
that
blew everybody else out of the water.
It really did.
When you have a month that's 5 degrees warmer by the average than the next coolest month, that is an unbelievably warm month that we hope we never achieve again.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that we came in third, or tied for third, we were more than 8 degrees above average total for the month.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
When we talk about numbers and weather.
That's a lot. And, we'll talk about this as we go in time. I think I saw somebody asking a comment on one of our social posts that says, oh, my gosh, with the unseasonably warm temperatures we're having in the early spring, are we going to burn up this summer? Does that mean we're going to have hot weather summer? Doesn't necessarily correlate to that. But, we could use some rain and get the moisture in the soil. You like to have that when you go through the spring months, certainly, Cass.
Yeah, because winter is by the averages our wettest season of the year, but spring is a very close second.
Right.
We had an extremely dry winter.
Yeah.
And now we are having a very dry start to spring, and unfortunately, that means the drought conditions are persisting.
Right.
So here's a look at our March precipitation.
I see a lot of yellow.
Yes. The first roughly 2 weeks of the month, we had periodic systems coming through. Mm-hmm. We even had snow on the 16th and 17th.
That's right.
With a strong cold front.
Yep.
And then the spigot shut off.
It did. Look at that. 2 100s, or traced to 2 100s the rest of the month. You're right. The first half, almost the first half of the month, we were doing okay. Yeah, you see, and look at that alternating green, yellow. That's in an ideal world. We talk about this a lot. You like to stay balanced. We all love the beautiful, sunny, warm, pleasant spring days. We all do. I raise my hand first, right? And it's easy forecasting too. But you need the rain to stay balanced. And I know we're going to talk about the drought conditions coming up that we're still in and even expanding.
So we finished the month of March with a deficit of, I believe it was 1.6 something. Okay. 1.6 inches. So when you add that to the deficit that we had throughout December, or January, let's go back. Excuse me, I jumped the gun here.
Yeah.
For meteorological winter, which was over 4 inches, and then you add that in there too. We are really, really getting in the negatives.
Yes.
When it comes to our rainfall totals.
Yeah.
I mean, 40% of what we're supposed to be seeing. So just
yes,
we're missing a lot of water
yeah.
Right now. And unfortunately, the drought monitor reflects that.
You know what you just said, the 40% missing a lot of water. That sounds like out west.
Oh my gosh.
With the it's another, story, maybe another day, but the lack of snowpack and snowfall and the water, to build the reserves. I mean, wow. So it's had an impact across much of the country, this pattern.
It's really been a persistent pattern.
Yeah.
For the West, it was a ridge of high pressure.
Right.
And they just cooked.
Yes.
They were hot, they were dry. Anytime they did have snow, it would rapidly melt afterward.
Yeah.
And so they're in a really bad pickle right now.
Right.
And that's definitely a story we'll be talking more about in the next several months. For us, while they had the ridge, we had the trough. So we were cool.
Right.
But winds coming out of the north and the northwest are coming straight off land. We don't have moisture.
The Gulf was closed for business, so to speak. It was shut off. And that has impacted our neighbors to our south and Florida, especially.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And that's also another probably topic of what they're dealing with down there.
And that's kind of reflective. Some of this is reflective of a La Nina pattern.
Right.
But this is on a whole other level that we've gotten to here. And so let's talk about our drought monitor. That red that you can see down in western North Carolina is a red flag, literally and figuratively. Those are the same areas that were damaged during Hurricane Helene in 2024. So point. All of those downed and dead trees.
Fuel.
Yes, they've had a year and a half to season. So unfortunately, western North Carolina has been battling hundreds of wildfires. I actually just did this story in my recap this week. Mm-hmm. In western North Carolina, they've had over 600 fires reported just since March 20th. They have a statewide burn ban, and they've already had more than 100 fires started since the burn ban went into effect on March 28th. They haven't had any storms over there. So these are all human-ignited fires.
Man. Yeah.
And unfortunately, in that type of an environment, these fires can develop very easily, spread very quickly. One of the fires was a woman who was smoking a cigar, and she clipped the end of it off.
A woman was smoking a cigar.
She's cool.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, she's not smoking a cigar.
It was fun. You said something funny. I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah, she's cool. She was out smoking a cigar, and she clipped the ash off the end of it. And that started a 100+ acre fire.
I should clarify, I wasn't laughing at the fire. You were just she cool.
She's
and
cool.
That tickled me. I apologize.
Yeah. you're good. It's just, I guess what I'm saying is it's just something simple.
That's how easy something
It's so easy.
It only takes a spark to get a fire.
Yeah. As Smokey Bear would say.
Goodness
only
gracious.
you can prevent forest fires.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't do it.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. I know they've been trying to do prescribed burns maybe before this, going back into the month of March, in anticipation to try to get rid of a lot of those fuels down trees from Helene. That was a great point. Not enough. And now that severe drought.
Yes.
Expanding for our neighbors to our south.
So those areas are desperate for rain, and not just a little bit of rain. They need multiple inches over a long period of time so it can start to soak into the ground, because if you only soak the top layer, it'll dry out really fast.
Dry out pretty quick.
And or it will run off.
Yes.
And so you just don't get that moisture down the soil. So unfortunately, western North Carolina, and what happens over there obviously affects us.
Right.
In our mountains.
Right.
Over here in East Tennessee, you can see we've got extreme drought down in McMinn County. That's consistently been there for several weeks.
Right.
The severe drought in our mountains, that's been there for several weeks up onto the southern plateau. But what's new...
That's expanded northward, hasn't it, a little bit?
It has. And what's also new is the moderate drought, that tan color, up along the Kentucky-Tennessee state line.
Yeah.
That's all new this week.
Right.
And as you mentioned earlier, our hole of no drought is closing.
Our hole is shrinking and closing. Well, hey, so Knoxville, Maynardville, Morristown, and Dandridge were holding down the fort, so to speak, of, trying to survive while we're waiting on the rain. But, I mean, that is shrinking. It's small, and it's not overly representative of much of the area. We're all very dry. I was doing some yard work. The grass right now in early spring, it's green. It's sometimes early spring, it's going to be the prettiest, even if you haven't had a lot of moisture. Mm-hmm. But even when I was out working, could look down, it's dry.
Yeah.
It's not going to take long, so we need the rain, and we need several days, even weeks, actually, of some good soaking rains.
So by the averages, April is actually not one of our wettest months of the year.
Okay.
This is when rainfall totals start to decline. As we make the transition from the wetter winter and early spring into the more pop-up style summertime storms.
Right.
So April is our second month of meteorological spring. Average temperatures go from mid-60s to mid-70s. We gain over an hour of daylight. Our sunsets are after 8 p.m. after this weekend.
Love it.
Which I also love.
Love it.
Working the evening shift. We love a good late sunset. The outlooks, though, for the month.
Here we go.
From the Climate Prediction Center.
Yeah.
Overall, above average. This doesn't tell us how much above average, but just overall.
Yeah.
We can still get cool spells in April.
Right. Yes. One of the coldest I've ever been was at a baseball field in Carnes in April. And I think temperatures were in the 40s with the wind blowing.
Oh.
Because we'd already gotten acclimated to the warmth.
Yes.
And it got cold. Oh, my gosh. I'll never forget that. Just a quick side note.
Well, I mean, people are going to feel that next week, too.
Yeah.
Because after the cold front comes through on Easter morning, highs are actually going to be around average in the 60s. Lows are going to be around or a little bit below average in the upper 30s and low 40s, but it's going to feel chilly.
It's going to be like, where's my jacket?
Yeah, because we've been coming out of the 80s.
Exactly.
We're going backwards. We're going from summer back to spring.
Bring it. Love the cool.
It's going to be refreshing, we'll call it.
It will. Refreshing is a great way to put it, just like you open up the refrigerator a little bit.
Yeah, open up the windows.
Yeah.
Maybe don't because of the pollen. Make your choice.
Yeah, that's another reason we need the rain to help cleanse the air from the pollen. You know, you just need the rain for so many reasons.
Because tree pollen level right now, by the way, is very high.
Yeah, let me look up at the roof. That's where it is.
The yellow all over your car will tell you that.
Yeah.
But grass has entered the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Grass pollen levels are now low. So this is starting to be grass pollen season.
Yeah.
The outlook for the month of April, rain-wise, is not favorable yet.
You're right.
Mostly because at the beginning of this month, we just don't have that. We've got the southerly flow now.
Yeah.
But it's still just not enough.
It's just not enough. You know, one thing that it's hopeful, looking at this graphic, and again, this is another like the probabilities for above, near, below average precip. You can see the signal strong, fairly strong southeast. But look at least the orientation of that return flow. At least there's some hope, right?
Yes.
It looks like the western Gulf perhaps trying to open up with fronts coming in and going around us, and we still got the presence of that probably strong ridge, which we're anticipating still in the near term in the week or so. But hopefully, as the pattern tries to evolve and change some, we'll get those fronts in, get those Gulf moisture. So that's what we want to see. What they're seeing to the west, we want to see that in the Tennessee Valley.
So what's happening that we've been discussing this trend is we've got a ridge of high pressure off to our east.
Right.
Almost like a Bermuda high, like you would have in the summer.
It is like a Bermuda high.
And so that clockwise motion around that ridge, drawing up southerly air, but the ridge is so strong and it's positioning where it currently is, we're actually almost protected by it.
Yeah.
So it is bringing up warm, muggy air, but it's also protecting us from the active weather. Yeah. So we only get these little pop-up style stuff right now.
We're under the dome of some sinking air and dry air. On the rim, periphery to the west, that's where the moisture plume is.
Yes, and unfortunately, because that ridge is hanging in there.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Anything that's trying to come from the west can't quite get here. Just coming to halt. But the front that's going to come through Sunday morning is going to be the one that kind of pushes that ridge away.
Right.
And we'll get a brief break from the big ridge, and it's going to cool our temperatures down. But now we've got a dry airflow, so we still don't get any rain.
So hopefully we can see some decent showers, then get some cool, and it's short-term relief.
Yes.
But we'll take it, and then
we'll take anything, every drop in the bucket counts.
Absolutely.
We need it for sure.
Absolutely. That's a pretty picture there, Cass.
So one sure sign that you have moved into the spring season here in East Tennessee is when a lot of the seasonal roads in the Smokies start to reopen for the warm season, because for folks who don't know, some of them shut down in the winter because they tend to have snow and ice.
Yeah.
They're just hard for the NPS to keep, the National Park Service to keep clear, and or they're dangerous, so they close some of them.
Right. You can go on foot, but not by car.
Exactly. And one of those, probably the most widely known, is Kuwohi Road, formerly Klingman's Dome. And this is a picture I actually took.
Oh, really?
Yes, of
nice picture.
The known ice wall.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of natural springs.
Oh, yeah.
And so they run down the rock face. So in the summer when you go up there, the rocks are just wet and there's water running down the side of the road. But in the wintertime, it builds out this huge ice wall. Now, when I went up there, it wasn't massive. There are times that ice comes all the way out into the road.
Wow.
Because it just gets so thick.
It's just so thick and, continues to accrete and build.
Yes. Yes. So I got to go take that picture, and it was beautiful. But in the wintertime, if you do want to go hike up there,
nice,
all the way up to Kuwohi and up to the Dome, it's a 14-mile round-trip hike.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, not everybody wants to do that.
It's like a 7-mile road. Is that right?
It's 7 miles from Newfound Gap parking lot.
Right.
You can take the Appalachian Trail too.
Okay.
From Newfound Gap parking lot up to the dome.
Okay.
7 miles.
You know what? Quick funny story, we used to always do the Children's Miracle Network telethon, and they would send me up to, it was the Klingman's Dome at the time, now Coahuila, and we'd always go up there. I loved it. I think that trail, and a lot of times it took a while to get there, so oftentimes I had to park in the parking lot, and then I would jog to hurry up and get up here.
Up this trail?
Up this trail right here we're looking at. I could testify. I think it's like 0.4.
Oh, yes, this is short. It's only like a half mile.
I tell you what, elevation.
It's the steepest half mile.
Cardio, heart rate. I had to take a minute
when
I got there. And 20 to sometimes 25 degrees cooler. At least 15 to 20 degrees cooler.
And there's always a breeze.
There's always a breeze. Went up there. We used to do it at the end of May and June. 66 degrees one time, and I about froze because I didn't bring a jacket because it was 89 in Knoxville.
And we call that Appalachian AC. That's what you do. Go up in the mountains. And so that picture right there, I also took this picture. This is the trail, as you were mentioning, from the Coahuila parking lot.
Right.
Which is down by the visitor center.
Right.
You still need a parking pass for it, by the way, so get your parking passes.
Okay.
It's like a half mile or 0.4, like you were saying. Right. It is steep. And the National Park Service actually posted this on Facebook.
That's what everybody's doing. We're going up there. Our photographer drove up in the car, by the way, and he got looks coming back down. Anyway.
Everybody's like, "Can I get in?"
Yeah, it's like, what are
there
you
are
doing?
benches. There are benches along the way that you can take little breaks for.
You can take a break.
And the National Parks, I can't claim this one, but the National Park Service said the views will take your breath away, and so might the hike.
That's actually very true.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I'm joking a little bit. I mean, hey, cardio workout's good, but it is absolutely worth it.
Yes.
Take a jacket.
Because that's the dome.
Oh, there you go.
So
there's the payoff.
There's the payoff. So when you get to the top, you go up the kind of circular pathway up to the top of the dome, and
then you're there.
Yeah, over 6,600 feet. It is the third tallest point to the east of the Mississippi.
Very good.
I believe. I gotta look it all up. I don't remember what it is, but anyway, there's reasons why this is a special spot to go to.
Right.
You get 360-degree views of the Smokies.
It's beautiful.
It really is. It's right along the Tennessee-North Carolina line, so you can see into western North Carolina and back into the valley in Tennessee.
Tell you what, if you can get up there, I know a lot of folks like to go to the Foothills Parkway for the sunset. Oh, beautiful. If you can go up here, I don't know, for a sunrise or a sunset, it's incredible. I remember one of the first times up there, we were closing a telethon, and they took the closing shot. And I think our photographer was Jim Martin at the time. You tend to remember those things. He just did a slow zoom in to end the show. It was incredible. Mm-hmm. It was almost a spiritual experience. It was just amazing just how beautiful it was. Still, you don't hear anything. It's peaceful. Anyway, beautiful place in our park nearby.
Love visiting it. It's gorgeous, and it has reopened for the season.
Yes.
It'll be open from now April 1st, periodically closing if for some reason we end up with snow.
Yes, still could happen.
April 1st all the way through, I believe, November 30th. I think
you're right. Exactly.
They try to get through November 30th.
Yes.
Sometimes they close sooner.
If you have something early coming in. That's exactly right. Opens back up April 1st, so here we go.
So there you go. Just one of the many places you can go visit in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And Todd, you and I had another whole subject matter that we were going to talk about today, but I think we're running out of time for this week's episode.
But we got plenty of time in the coming months. We're going to talk about the hurricanes.
I can give you a quick.
We'll give a little preview, and we'll be back to talk about this very soon.
Tease.
We can do this.
Okay, we could do it.
So April 1st.
Yes.
2 months until the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season, which begins on June 1st. April, May, June, yes. So the National Hurricane Center just put out their review of the performances of their models for the 2025 season, because they're constantly looking back at what's happened, reviewing it, learning from it, changing things. Trying to improve. And they do a fabulous job of it. Interestingly, last year was the first year that we have used an AI model for forecasting.
Right.
And that was the Google AI model. When it came to track, the Google AI model actually did the best.
It performed the best out of the other ones.
It even performed better than the National Hurricane Center's forecast track.
Right.
So very impressive, because it's looking at what's happening right now, and it's just taking all of that and looking at where it's going to go.
Right. Lots of computations.
Yeah, lots of computations, and in some way also kind of blinders. Like it's just looking at that situation that it's got right now.
Right.
And it's figuring it out.
Right.
The National Hurricane Center came in a very close second.
Yeah.
The model
Which
average...
is very good.
The National Hurricane Center is amazing.
Yeah.
The model average came in third, followed by the European model, and the American GFS model came in dead last for track. Wop wop.
Yeah.
We will say that we call it GFS-icanes. That GFS model likes to spin up stuff all day, every day. It works hard at that, and it did not do well.
Here, quick thing on modeling, and I know we got to go, but if an error is exposed early,
yes,
it grows and grows and grows. So by the time you get a week or 2 weeks out, it's what you just said.
Yes. And see, the AI model fixes that quickly.
Exactly.
It's able to adjust.
There's one of the differences right there.
Yes. Now, when it came to intensity, which track determines intensity determines track, they're intertwined. The National Hurricane Center did best when it came to intensity.
Way to go, guys. Good job.
Good job. AI came in second. Model consensus average came in third.
Right.
The American model did come in fourth.
Yeah.
Slightly better than the European model.
Beat the European by just a little
hair.
Bit. Just a little bit.
Just a hair. But again, it's good to see improvements. It's good to see new options and opportunities for forecasting as we get closer to our Atlantic hurricane season. Next week, Colorado State University will be releasing their first preseason forecast for the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season.
Awesome.
So we'll talk about that.
And we're going to be going from La Nina, moving out to
El Nino.
El Nino. That's something to stay tuned for that. We'll be unpacking all those details in time.
And somebody probably just said, Colorado State, what do they have to do with the tropics? Well, they're like a world-renowned research facility for tropical systems. So their forecasts matter.
Yes.
They do great work there.
They really do.
And we're very much looking forward to whatever they're about to put out next week.
Yeah.
We have an idea of what it might look like, but, we'll share it.
Very good.
Officially.
Cassie, Nall, always enjoy the chat.
Of course. Likewise. And thank you to everybody who joined us.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Always. I look forward to next week.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah.